Thank you, Madam President. I rise today with my colleagues, Senator Blunt, Senator Blumenthal, and soon to be joining us, Senator Graham, to speak about our Cybersecurity Public Awareness Act of 2013. It is now broadly accepted in this body that the cyber threat posed by criminals, foreign intelligence and military services, and even terrorists is enormous and unrelenting. But useful information about cyber attacks and cyber risks still is not consistently available to consumers, to businesses, or to policymakers. The legislation that the four of us have introduced, the Cybersecurity Public Awareness Act, is an important first step toward fixing this problem. Senator Blunt has earned a reputation for working with colleagues on both sides of the aisle, particularly on issues of national security. I was very glad to have the opportunity to work with him last year as part of a bipartisan group of senators seeking a sensible middle ground on cybersecurity legislation. He has brought his keen understanding of national security issues to bear on this important problem, as well as his expertise on public and private collaboration. So I thank the good senator from Missouri for the opportunity to work together with him. Likewise, Senator Graham, as my colleagues know, has a long track record of bipartisan legislative accomplishments and a passion for issues of national security. On our Judiciary Subcommittee on Crime and Terrorism, where together we are the chair and ranking member, Senator Graham has been a worthy partner in our work to improve America's cyber readiness, including our readiness against economic espionage and trade secret theft. I thank Senator Graham for his continuing leadership and partnership as we introduce this bill to improve public awareness of the cyber threats facing our country. And I'm pleased also to be joined by my colleague, Senator Blumenthal. We were attorneys general together. We serve on the Judiciary Committee together. We are Northeasterners together. And I know that he brings to this chamber a deep understanding of the tools at the disposal of law enforcement, as well as the challenges of adapting to a swiftly evolving threat. Americans' privacy is routinely violated by criminals who steal credit card information and social security numbers, or even spy on us through the webcams of our personal computers. Bank accounts of businesses, local governments, and individuals have been emptied overnight. Sensitive government networks have been compromised. The networks that run our critical infrastructure, the basics that we depend on for heat, for communications, for commerce, have been compromised, raising the prospect of a cyber attack that could bring down a portion of the electric grid or disrupt our financial system. Even our nation's long-term economic competitiveness is at risk. General Keith Alexander, the head of the National Security Agency and Cyber Command, has said, for example, that the theft of trade secrets through cyber hacks has put us on the losing end of the largest illicit transfer of wealth in history. Yet most Americans are still unaware of the full extent of this threat. Why? Cyber threat information is often classified when it is gathered by the government, or is held as proprietary when collected by a company that has been attacked. As a result, Americans are left in the dark about the frequency, extent, and intensity of these attacks. Raising awareness of cyber threats is an important element of Congress's work to improve our nation's cybersecurity. The Cybersecurity Public Awareness Act of 2013 takes up that challenge. Building on legislation I previously introduced with Senator John Kyle, it will increase public awareness of the cyber threats against our nation and do so in a manner that protects classified, business-sensitive, and proprietary information. The bill addresses several different elements of the cybersecurity awareness gap. It enhances public awareness of attacks on federal networks by requiring that the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Defense report to Congress on cyber incidents in the .gov and .mil domains. As we work to protect the American people from cyber attacks, we must first understand the nature of attacks on our own systems and what we can do to ensure that those attacks are not successful. The bill also tasks the Department of Justice and the FBI to report to Congress on their investigations and prosecutions of cyber intrusions, computer or network compromise, or other forms of illegal hacking. Those reports also must detail the resources that they devote to fighting cybercrime and any legal impediments they find that frustrate prosecutions of cyber criminals. It's not enough just to try to stop hackers when they're coming after us. We must also identify and prosecute the people responsible for cybercrimes, wherever they may be. In addition, the bill requires the Securities and Exchange Commission to report to Congress on the corporate reporting of cyber risk and cyber incidents in the financial statements of publicly traded companies. The purpose of this requirement is to make sure American businesses are adequately informing their shareholders of any material information shareholders should know relating to cybersecurity. Last, the bill requires the Department of Homeland Security to report to Congress on the vulnerabilities to cyber threat in each critical infrastructure sector: the electric grid, the gas and oil markets, the banking sector, and others. When it comes to protecting our critical infrastructure from cyber attacks, there is no margin of error. Failure in this area could mean a blackout in a major American city or a serious disruption of the banking system upon which our economy depends. That is why we must fully understand the threats to these sectors and what we can do to stop them. These are ways in which the Cybersecurity Public Awareness Act will help to better inform the American people about the nature of the cyber threats we face and help us in Congress make the informed decisions about how to better protect against these threats. We have more work to do to improve our nation's cybersecurity, but a key first step is to ensure that members of the public, businesses, shareholders, policymakers, and other cybersecurity stakeholders have an appropriate awareness of cyber vulnerabilities, threats, and opportunities. I look forward to working with Senator Blunt, with Senator Graham, and with Senator Blumenthal to get this bill passed into law, and I thank them each for their helpful cooperation and their insight. And I yield the floor.